tell me to go.
And you're ready. Yeah.
And we're going to be working on our front stances now. The front stance is one of the basic stances during our Taekwondo forms. There's 3 basic principles to our front stance. The first one is that you're always going to want to keep your front knee bent. The second is that you're going to lock and keep your back leg straight. And third is that you're going to square or keep your chest forward towards your target. Now when I step change, I do the exact same thing. I'm going to keep my front knee bent, my back leg straight, and I'm keeping my chest towards the front, so I'm squaring my shoulders off. You never want to do your front stance where your shoulders are twisted and you're standing sideways. Always chest straight. Okay, now we're going to work on our horse stance. The horse stance is one of the most basic stances that we use. A lot of our punching drills and our blocking drills start from our horse stance. So when we do our horse stance, we're going to open our feet wider than our shoulder size. We're going to keep both feet parallel so that our toes are facing towards the front. We don't want to have an open stance with our toes facing outward. So again, our toes are going to be facing forward, our feet are wider than our shoulder size, and we're bending our knees, trying to get a deep, low stance. We don't want to be standing up, that's just being lazy. So we're going to drop down, keep our knees bent. Okay, now we're going to be working on some of our basic punches. These basic punches are going to be starting from our horse stance. So if you remember, when we take a step out to do our horse stance, we're going to keep our feet even and parallel, facing towards the front, a little bit wider than our shoulder size. Now all of our punches start from the belt. So we're going to keep both hands with fists really strongly gripped at our belt. When we punch, we're going to always aim for the center of the chest. So when I punch, my arm is actually going to be coming inward a little bit and down a little bit from my shoulder so that I'm always aiming towards the center of the chest. So, like I said, my punches are going to start from the belt. I'm going to punch once. Now when I punch the second time, this second hand is going to replace the same spot the first hand was at. I'm not going to be punching straight where they're both taking different spots. Each hand goes to the same spot each time. Now when I punch, I also want to try to create a little bit of a snap. So from my belt, I'm going to try to punch fast and with power. I'm snapping them. I do my double punches, and I'm going to add a key up at the end. Iya! 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 Next one now is going to be the palm strike. Just like the punch, the palm strike starts from the belt. Bring my hand out. Palm strike, I'm going to have my fingers slightly curved, my thumbs tucked in, never sticking out. Tuck my thumb in, and I'm always trying to hit with the heel of my palm right here. Not right dead center, but with the heel, the bottom part right here. The one different thing about my palm strike from the punch is that I'm always keeping my arm slightly bent. When I punched, I was locking my arm out, straight. When I do my palm strike, I bend at the elbow a little bit, and remember, hitting with the heel of the palm. I'm going to do my double, and I add the key up. Iya! 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 Now we're going to work on the high knife hand. Just like the punch, starts from the belt. I'm going to aim centered. My target now is for the throat. Keeping all of my fingers together. Again, my thumb bent in, not sticking out, in, and I'm trying to curve my fingertips in a little bit. Not perfectly straight, kind of curled in a little bit. So from the belt, I'm going to aim for the throat. I'm going to do my doubles and key up. Iya! 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 Now I'm going to work on my low knife hand. My low knife hand, again, starts from the belt. This time I'm going to be aiming towards the center of the chest. Again, the same hand positioning. My fingers are all together, bending my thumb, and my fingers are slightly curved inward. And just like the punch, I make sure each one, I'm keeping my arm perfectly straight. I do my doubles. Iya! 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 And that's our drill for the basic punches. So now we're going to be adding a couple new blocks to the original stance that we were working on. So we're going to go right back into our back stance. Again, remember, only most important thing during our back stance, we're going to keep our feet so that the toes are facing towards the front and our knees are bent. And we're really trying to go into a deep stance, because let's not be lazy in which we're standing and not even bending at our knees. So we're going to go right back into my back stance. So if you remember back into some of the other training, we worked on the high block, we worked on our in-body block, our out-body block, and then our down block. So now we're going to add a couple new ones to these. The first one's going to be an in-body knife hand. So just like the in-body block, which started from the ear, this one is going to start also from the ear, but this time I'm keeping my hand open in my knife hand position. My thumb is bent, my fingers are together, and always remembering to kind of curl your fingertips in a little bit. So I'm going to start from my ear and chop inward. From the ear, chop inward. 3 and 4. Always making sure that I'm stopping my hand. I do not want to let my hand go past too far, or I'm starting to twist my body. My chest should always remain still, facing towards the front. So again, from my ear, I'm going to chop in, 2, 3, and 4. Next one is going to be an outward knife hand. So I'm going to start from my opposite shoulder, and I'm going to block outward, stopping at my shoulder side. I don't want to go too wide again. So I'm going to start from the shoulder and block outward. My hand position is again in the knife hand, thumb bent, fingers together, all the same basics. Now when I'm doing my outward knife hand, I'm making sure that I'm bending at my elbow a little bit. I never lock my arms straight. I bend at my elbow and I bend at my wrist a little bit. So I turn my hand upward. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. My next block is a palm inside block. So if you guys remember back to our palm strike, I'm going to keep my thumb bent in, my fingers kind of curled forward a little bit of space between all of them, and I'm going to use the heel of my palm. So not directly centered on my hand, the heel, the bottom part right here. So from the belt, I'm going to be pushing across and downward. From the belt, across my body, and a little bit downward. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we go back and review these blocks, first one's an in-body knife hand from the ear, chop it inward. 2, 3, 4. An outward knife hand from my shoulder, blocking out. 2, 3, 4. And the palm block. So from my belt, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now we're going to be working on some kicks. So the first drill I'm going to teach you guys is just some stretch kicks to increase your flexibility. So I'm going to step back and go right back into my fighting stance. I'm going to keep my hands up to protect myself. First kick we're going to do is called an extra high kick. So pretty much what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be keeping my legs straight through the entire movement, and I'm just going to kick as high as I can go. So with my hands up, I'm going to kick straight up, and then back into my fighting stance. Kick straight up, and back into my fighting stance. The entire time, keep making sure that I'm keeping my legs straight, and that I'm not bending at the knee. All the way straight, and pointing my toes so my foot is flat. So again, for my fighting stance, I'm going to kick straight up, and fighting stance. Switch sides. 1, and fighting stance. 2, fighting stance. I'm going to turn sideways so you guys can see it from the side. Got my hands up in my fighting stance, making sure that my legs stay straight through the entire motion. Straight up, and in fighting stance. Up, fighting stance. An important thing to be working on also is your posture. So every time you're kicking, you want to try to make sure that you're keeping your body upright and your head up high. You want to make sure that when you kick, your head does not come down to meet your leg. You always want to try to keep your head up high. Back towards you guys. The next one is called a cross inside kick. So it works just like the extra high kick, but instead of coming straight up, I'm going to be bringing it across my body to the opposite side. So again, my legs stay straight through the entire motion. Making sure, as soon as I'm done, bring my hands right back up into my fighting stance. Switch sides and kick across. I'm going to turn to the side, and stay up, and I'm kicking across. Making sure that I'm working on keeping my head up high. Next one is called in to out. So this one, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be bringing it up across my body, and then at the top, I'm going to be arcing it in a big circle, all the way to the outside. I'm going to try to make the circle as large as I can, all the way up, around, and reaching behind me. Again, try to keep my legs straight through the entire motion. Remember, you want to keep your hands up after every kick. Turn to the side.